What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and today we're going to be talking about Evan Neal and the rookie season that he's having. Now, it's a rookie season to forget. He's not having the best year. It's been a real struggle for Evan Neal so far this season. Of course, the New York Giants selected Evan Neal with the 7th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Neal, coming out of Alabama, was a 3-year starter there, played left tackle, played right tackle, played a bit of guard as well, was a very versatile player coming out of Alabama, 6'7", 350 pounds, a mammoth of a human being, but so far it just hasn't translated. He was excellent at Alabama, a true blue chip prospect coming out into this year's draft class, but it hasn't translated to the NFL so far. And there's been a lot of ups and downs for him. He started to play a little bit better during the midway point of the season, got hurt, hasn't looked the same since he's returned from the injury. It's been real tough for Evan Neal, but there is one thing to remember here. Now, Evan Neal, yes, is having a rookie season to forget, but so did Andrew Thomas. And Andrew Thomas is having a dominant 2022 season where, in my opinion, he's the best left tackle in football right now, minus maybe Trent Williams. But Andrew Thomas is a blue chip NFL player rather than blue chip prospect for Evan Neal. Evan Neal, of course, coming into this league with a ton of potential, but so did Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas came in here with a bunch of potential, just like Evan Neal, and it took him a little while to finally realize that potential. Andrew Thomas, if you all remember, and I'm sure you do, as a rookie, he was playing bad. I remember a lot of Giants fans in the comment sections of Fireside Giants episodes were comparing him to Eric Flowers, and Alex and I were always saying, no, there's no shot. You can't compare the two. They're not even close. Just give him some time. And of course, time has come for Andrew Thomas to emerge as one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL. And it's super exciting. I mean, the Giants have a real building block there with AT, protecting the blind side of Daniel Jones and open up rushing lanes for Saquon Barkley. I really believe that the Giants offense and the Giants in general, they just don't score as many points or win as many games without Andrew Thomas in the lineup, because across the board, this offensive line is terrible minus that left tackle position. Left guard, center, right guard, and right tackle have all struggled immensely all season long. So if you take away Andrew Thomas from this lineup and you throw away some backup into that left tackle position, like if God forbid Andrew Thomas was hurt this year, thank God he wasn't, but you're talking about flat out the worst offensive line in football, and nothing is saving that. But Andrew Thomas so far has been the savior of the Giants offensive line in many ways, because he has really allowed the Giants to open up their offense just a sliver more than they would have if he wasn't in the lineup, because I mean, that offensive line has held the Giants offense back this year. And to be honest, Evan Neal has had a lot to do with that. If you recall, week 3 versus Dallas, Evan Neal absolutely got worked in that game. I mean, he got demolished against Dallas, and they put on a show against him. He really struggled, and the Giants offense really couldn't get things going in the second half of that game because Daniel Jones was just under so much duress throughout the game and was unable to get anything going at any point. And Evan Neal was truly a liability in that one, and that's something that we can say. If you look back at that game, he allowed 3 sacks with 5 pressures, and you could argue that's not even his worst game of the season. If you take a look at Week 14 versus Philadelphia, that was by far the Giants' worst loss of the season, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that their offense couldn't move the ball because their offensive line was just so bad, and Evan Neal in that game let up 8 pressures and 1 sack with 2 QB hits and 5 hurries, so a really tough performance there. And then in Week 15 versus Washington, 5 pressures in the win with 0 sacks, but Week 16, the most recent game versus Minnesota on Christmas Eve, 7 pressures and 1 sack. So it's been a really tough 3-week stretch for Evan Neal. And it's surprising, too, because it's coming off of his best performance in Week 13. Weeks 14, 15, and 16, by far the worst 3-week stretch of the season for Evan Neal. But if you look at Week 13, 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries. He put together a clean sheet against Washington in Week 13, the game that ended in a tie. But then Washington, Week 15, the game that the Giants won, he was very poor in pass protection, and he has been really all season long. On the year, Evan Neal has allowed 7 sacks and 36 total pressures from that right tackle position. He's been an absolute liability on the right side of the Giants offensive line, and it's a struggle for them. If you compare that to Andrew Thomas, of course, we mentioned how well he's been playing, and he's had 3 sacks allowed and 19 pressures in 15 games this year. Evan Neal, 7 sacks, 36 pressures in 11 games compared to 3 sacks, 19 pressures in 15 games. It's a night and day difference between what the Giants have on the left side of the line versus the right side of the line. But let's not forget, how badly Andrew Thomas struggled as a rookie as well. So I know it's tough to not get caught up with the Evan Neal struggles and say, man, he really doesn't look the part right now, but Andrew Thomas didn't either. As a rookie, Andrew Thomas let up 10 sacks and 57 pressures in 16 games. Now, there's two things to take away from that. One, Evan Neal, don't lose hope on him. Two, what a remarkable turnaround Andrew Thomas has had. I mean, 10 sacks, 57 pressures in 16 games, all the way down 2 years later to 3 sacks, 19 pressures in 15 games. Tremendous development from Andrew Thomas. And if you remember, when Andrew Thomas was coming out of the draft, some had him as the best tackle in the draft. It was debatable. Tristan Wirfs was up there. Jedrick Wills was there as well. A lot of people did have him as the best tackle in the draft, but he really struggled as a rookie, and a lot of people called that pick into question. Now, in year 3, you can't even question that pick. The Giants made the right pick. Andrew Thomas is an absolute stud, and you can argue that he is the best tackle that came out of that class. Now, again, some really great tackles came out of that class, Tristan Wirfs in particular, but with Andrew Thomas being the player that he is right now, it just shows anyone can turn it around. You can have a late bloomer at the offensive tackle position. In fact, I would expect a late bloomer at the offensive tackle position because think about how much of a transition that is to go from playing college ball at the tackle position to NFL football at the tackle position. I mean, you're going from playing guys who are underdeveloped, undersized, 20 to 22-year-old pass rushers in college versus you might have a 38-year-old NFL veteran who's been working rookie tackles for 15 years that you match up against on a Sunday afternoon. So Evan Neal is going to struggle as a rookie. I mean, he has, and he's going to continue to struggle. Even if the Giants do make it into the postseason, expect to see Evan Neal struggle in the postseason, maybe even especially. But then again, Evan Neal's played in a lot of big-time games over at Alabama, won some silverware over there, some hardware over there at Alabama. He might just elevate his game and rise to the occasion of the postseason. Now, maybe I'm dreaming because he has been so poor in the regular season for the Giants, but Evan Neal, he's been there in those big games, and that's what the Giants want, right? They want young guys who aren't afraid to go out there and go to war on a Sunday afternoon for a divisional playoff matchup or a wild card matchup, whatever the case might be. So I think that, with Evan Neal, it's been a rough regular season for him, but don't count him out in the postseason if the Giants do end up clinching that spot here, which they have a really good chance to. They win on Sunday, and they are in the postseason automatically with a win over the Colts, and they go into the postseason. Maybe Evan Neal elevates his game, having some experience playing in so many college football playoff runs for Alabama in the past. But Evan Neal, again, it's been a struggle for him as a rookie year, but just keep in mind that this is very reminiscent of what we've already seen. We saw this with Andrew Thomas. We saw a real struggle from a pass protection standpoint. Andrew Thomas had to completely rework his technique. His fundamentals were crap when he got to the NFL. They were good in college. That's what you get away with there. But when you get to the NFL, it's a whole different ballgame. So he had to totally rework his fundamentals, change his technique, and learn how to play the tackle position from an NFL standpoint. And that's ultimately what's happening with Evan Neal right now. Yes, he had good fundamentals in college. He was a great player, but a lot of that was the fact that he's a 6'7", 350-pound, 22-year-old. All right, this guy is way too oversized for his age, and he needs to learn how to get his fundamentals down. Yeah, in college, he had all the size, all the muscle and strength and power in the world. He was a powerful offensive tackle, but was he the most polished and clean and fundamentally sound offensive tackle? Absolutely not. And that's what this rookie season has been about. It's been about having Evan Neal learn not to be the most powerful player on the field because in the NFL level, you're not going to be that every Sunday. You're not always going to be the most powerful man on the field. You're going to go up against some really good pass rushers who are more powerful than you. So how do you beat them? You be more fundamentally sound and you have better technique than them. That's how Andrew Thomas does it, and that's how Evan Neal is going to learn how to do it. Going to have to learn how to do it in his sophomore season. Now, that's looking ahead for sure. And like I said, the Giants still have some games left to play in the regular season and hopefully some games left to play in the postseason. Hopefully they have a lot of games to play in the postseason. Fingers crossed. But Evan Neal is going to have to learn how to fix his fundamentals. But I have not lost my confidence in Evan Neal. Have I lost confidence that he's going to turn it around in his rookie season? I mean, I don't think he's going to. No, he's not going to turn it around in his rookie season because, first of all, there's only 2 games left in the regular season and however many games the Giants play in the postseason. And second of all, I think he needs the offseason. He needs the break. He needs some time to train, to practice, look at the film, see what he did wrong as a rookie, and figure out how he can improve upon that in his sophomore season. That's exactly what Andrew Thomas did. He learned what he did wrong as a rookie, put it into practice during his sophomore season. He was a little banged up during that year, last season, Andrew Thomas was, but now fully healthy, 2022, he's really put it all together. It took him a couple years, but he got it, and he really got it good. And who's to say Evan Neal can't have the same turnaround. Honestly, I think that he will, because when you're looking at a guy who's 6'7", 350 pounds, moves the way that Evan Neal does, the potential there is unlimited. Maximum potential, Evan Neal is going to be an absolute monster for the Giants offensive line. And I truly believe that he will reach that potential within the coming years. Now, again, it's not going to happen during this rookie season. It's almost over. But year 2, I think he's going to get better. And probably year 3, same trajectory as Andrew Thomas. He'll turn it around by then, and he'll turn into a very, very solid offensive tackle. And that would just be a dream scenario for the New York Giants, to have a true stud at left tackle with Andrew Thomas, who I believe is going to be an all-pro this year. He deserves to be. And then a stud right tackle with Evan Neal. I mean, you're dreaming at that point if you're the New York Giants quarterback, which is very likely to be Daniel Jones within the next couple of years, or at least continuing to be for the next couple of years. But then that'll call upon the Giants and Joe Shane and management and everybody to go out there and find some good interior offensive linemen, because that's been the true liability for the Giants offense this year. Yeah, Evan Neal has struggled, but I'm still confident in him and his future. But the future of that left guard, center, and right guard position, there isn't one. The Giants need to find their future there, because right now, let me tell you, man, I don't believe that the Giants have any stable starters for next season on their interior. Mark Lewinsky, they signed him to a 3-year deal to be a quality starter, and he's been anything but that, anything but quality. He's been terrible for the Giants this year, and I don't envision him as the starter next season either. And honestly, I think you can make the argument that Evan Neal has struggled so badly because of the struggles directly next to him. It's really tough to play right tackle, pick up stunts, communicate well, when your right guard, the guy playing to the shoulder to your left, right on your shoulder, is playing so poorly. You got pressure coming from both ways at that point when your right guard can't pick up a block, and then you just start to panic, especially as a rookie. So Andrew Thomas, he's been playing with some pretty subpar players at left guard as well to his right shoulder, but he's a more experienced player. Andrew Thomas is a veteran at this point. He's in his 3rd season. He knows how to deal with a little bit more adversity than Evan Neal does, a rookie who really needs that help from that right guard spot and just isn't getting it. So I think when you look ahead to years 2 and 3, one of the main things that the Giants need to do is find a stud right guard to plug alongside Evan Neal, whether that be, going out there and making a trade for somebody, making a big splash sign in free agency for someone who's better than Mark Lewinsky. If you go out there, you find the right guard to put next to Evan Neal, I think that will help Evan Neal just as much as anything else that you can do for him. That will help him a ton. But again, that left guard, center, right guard position, those positions are a real struggle for the Giants this year, more so than I think Evan Neal has been at right tackle. And if the Giants want to continue to build and compete, make this a playoff hopeful run that they've had this year, not a fluke, and do it again next season, they got to shore up that interior offensive line for Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, because if they don't, they're just asking for a world of trouble. But I'm confident that they will. Now, before I wrap this one up, I want to share a quote from Brian Dable. He's not lost any confidence in Evan Neal, which is why I haven't, because I'm very confident in Brian Dable. But here's a quote from Brian Dable. Now, the question was, since he's come back from the sprained MCL, Evan Neal seems to have really had some struggles, especially in pass protection. What are you seeing from Evan over the past couple games? What do you think he really needs to get better at the final couple of weeks? There's a little typo there, but whatever. Answer. This is from Brian Dable. Quote, I'd say Evan's improved since he's gotten here. Really, all of us can continue to improve and get better in things that we need to get better in. Not just Evan, really everybody on our team, starting with the coaches all the way down to our players. And that's what we'll try to work on. But he's smart. He's tough. He's dependable. He's done a lot of good things too. End quote from Brian Dable there. And I really like that quote. I think it highlights just how great of a leader Brian Dable is to, not just say, yeah, Evan Neal needs to be better, to say he needs to be better. The coaches need to be better. Every single player could do better. And that's absolutely true. The Giants have lost 6 games and tied 1 this year. They haven't been, undefeated. It's not like they haven't taken a single L this season. The Giants do need to be better in many ways. And Brian Dable, being the great leader that he is, the head coach, again, why I'm so confident in him, he said the right things there. And I think that one thing that is important to note is that he is coming off of an MCL sprain, right? Evan Neal is. A mid-season MCL sprain is never easy to recover from. You mess up your knee like that, it takes weeks and weeks. And even when you get back on the field, you're not 100%. And Evan Neal probably isn't feeling 100. He probably isn't. He's probably still playing through a little bit of discomfort here and there. He'll say he's playing 100%, and, maybe he is. But I would go ahead and I would make the guess that he deals with some discomfort in his knee every now and again, and it probably does mess him up in some of those pass protection standpoints and run blocking snaps as well. So Evan Neal, again, guys, be patient with Evan Neal like we were with Andrew Thomas. I think there was a lot more panic around Andrew Thomas because the last Giants tackle or the last tackle of the Giants drafted before Thomas was Evan Neal, and we saw how that turned out. But Evan Neal is not going to be, or not Evan Neal, sorry, Eric Flowers, and we saw how that turned out. But Evan Neal is not automatically going to become Eric Flowers the same way that Andrew Thomas, struggling as a rookie, did not automatically become Eric Flowers. Now, I know Eric Flowers is also a cursed name, and I'm very sorry for repeating that name so many times in this episode, but it's a great reference point because so many Giants fans panicking when Andrew Thomas was struggling as a rookie, comparing him to Flowers. It's going to happen with Evan Neal as well. I don't think it's happened as much because we saw the turnaround from Andrew Thomas, but I think we're going to see the same turnaround from Evan Neal. So definitely don't panic. Stay confident. This kid is 6'5", 6'7", 350 pounds, and 22 years old. Unlimited potential. He's barely even scratched the surface. It's been a rough rookie year, one for him to forget, but just wait on it. There's so much potential to be tapped into there with Evan Neal. He's going to turn around. He's going to turn into a stud the same way that Andrew Thomas did. I believe that. Unbiased perspective. Biased, of course, because I'm a huge Giants fan, but unbiased because I really believe in Evan Neal, and I really liked what he was showing at Alabama and coming into the 2022 NFL Draft. But that pretty much wraps this one up. Make sure to like the episode if you enjoyed and comment down below what your thoughts are on Evan Neal's rookie season and what his potential for the future might be. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.